The internet can be a messed up place, and if, like me, you've spent way too much time watching YouTube documentaries, you'll know that it's home to some pretty unsavory characters. From trolls and pranksters to e-beggars and the dreaded influencer, you'll find all types of people vying for your attention. However, there's one group of people who have unwittingly found themselves at the center of online ridicule and fascination. They are the Lolcows. A relatively recent phenomenon, these individuals are milked repeatedly for the enjoyment of others. They are mocked relentlessly for their bizarre or cringe-worthy behavior, and though they might not have intended to be the butt of the joke initially, they often end up playing into the persona or being endlessly exploited because of it. Welcome to The Dive, where we go deep on the topics that interest us the most. And in this video, we'll be examining the curious case of the Lolcows, including everything from the origin of the term to case studies of 4 notable Lolcows who you can then dive deeper into on your own time. Though I will warn you, the world of Lolcows can get very dark very quickly. Without further ado, let's jump straight in. What is a Lolcow? On April 15, 2007, user DreadSmile submitted the following definition of lolcow to UrbanDictionary.com. A phenomena usually observed on forums and/or image boards. A person, most often someone who tries to look exceedingly knowledgeable in the topic discussed, is being flamed or trolled to the point where they can no longer present sane arguments that will fit their level, but yet are too proud to just quit. This produces a considerable amount of lols and win, for which the said person can be milked until they finally give up, or drop dead, hence the name. Now, the definition of a lolcow has moved on a bit since then, along with the platforms lolcows now use to post their content, but the basic meaning remains the same. Essentially, lolcow is a derogatory term that refers to a person who is repeatedly mocked online, often for their eccentric behavior, outlandish beliefs, or attention-seeking actions. As user Stringcool put it in 2019, these people are laughed at for actions that they take despite not trying to be funny. They may try to take themselves seriously, but are often milked for laughs, with or without their knowledge. It's important to note here that while such online mockery can be lighthearted, and sometimes it starts out that way, it often devolves into making fun of the lolcow for a variety of reasons, including things like their appearance in addition to their behavior. Such trolling or bullying can have negative impacts on a lolcow's mental health and well-being, whether they're aware of their lolcow status or not. What tends to happen is a lolcow will attract attention, more so for their cringy antics than whatever their content was intended to be about in the first place, and as their channel grows in popularity, the lolcow is manipulated and taunted into repeating the same cringeworthy behavior for the satisfaction of the audience. This attracts even more viewers and the cycle continues, often with the trolling becoming more and more extreme until what started as a snowball of cringe turns into an avalanche. The easiest way to understand this is to take a look at some lolcows in action, so let's do just that. Our first case study is the ironically named Wings of Redemption. Real name Jordy Jordan, Wings of Redemption gained popularity as a gamer and content creator, mostly for his presence in the Call of Duty community. He was a prominent figure on YouTube and Twitch throughout the 2010s, with his channel mostly centered around gameplay videos, live streams, and commentary. However, Wings of Redemption's career has been decimated by controversies, including heated interactions with viewers, issues related to his mental health, his weight problems, and numerous conflicts within the online gaming community. He quickly gained a reputation for his outbursts, arguments, and sometimes volatile behavior during live streams. Many point to the beginning of Jordy's downfall, and therefore the start of his lolcow status, being an event that happened in 2011. During one appearance on a popular Call of Duty podcast called Painkiller Already, Jordy displayed extraordinary arrogance and declared that another Call of Duty player, Pro Syndicate, would be unable to beat him in multiplayer mode. It's worth noting that Pro Syndicate was known for being a zombies player at the time, an expert in a completely different game mode. Jordy's cockiness led to the arrangement of a live-streamed 1v1 match between the two, which was streamed on Justin.tv and later uploaded to YouTube. The highly anticipated stream attracted a large audience. Jordy was initially in control of his emotions, but his demeanor shifted as he grew increasingly frustrated and impatient. As he began to lose, realizing his diminishing chances of winning, he reached a breaking point, smashing his controller and lashing out at his co-hosts. They thought he may have been joking at first, but Wings erupted, shouting, "Why the f*** you stream that shit?
Why the f*** you stream that shit?"
A phrase that later became a regular tool in his troll's arsenal. Jordy's reputation took a further blow when, after the defeat, he attempted to bribe Syndicate into a rematch, offering him money to throw the game and let him win. Syndicate refused and leaked screenshots of the conversation, much to the delight of viewers who had come to watch the drama unfold and revel in the decline of a supposed god of COD. Wings of Redemption would never quite get over the disastrous duel with Pro Syndicate, and having now attracted many flies, the Lolcow began feeling the pressure. In 2012, he expressed frustration on Twitter over his declining viewership and mentioned thoughts of taking his own life. Other members of the community accused Jordy of fabricating these emotions for attention, including a YouTuber named El Prezador. During one heated exchange, Wings exclaimed, "If I'm pushed to that point, I'm taking you with me, El Prezador." The situation then escalated when, during a different livestream, Jordy smashed his microphone in response to further allegations about him faking his threats of self-harm. During the same stream, El Prezador also threatened to report Jordy to the FBI over the perceived threat to his own life. As you can probably tell by now, Wings of Redemption has a bit of a temper, which trolls have regularly milked to their advantage. In the years that have followed, there has been little redemption for Jordy. Only further outbursts and controversy. Rather than Call of Duty though, the drama has largely centered around Jordy's personal life and worldviews, including, as previously mentioned, his battle with weight loss and mental health issues. Due to the amount of harassment he has received, rightly or not, Wings of Redemption has now drastically reduced his online presence, privating all of the old videos on his YouTube and Twitch channels. Though, funnily enough, he did make an appearance in the real world as recently as May 2023, when he appeared as a boxer on the undercard of the KSI vs Joe Fournier match at Wembley Stadium in London. His opponent was someone who shares a very similar online history and physique to Jordy, another infamous Lolcow who also happens to be the second case study in this video, Boogie2988. Boogie2988, whose real name is Stephen J. Williams, is a well-known YouTuber who gained popularity for his variety content, including vlogs, comedy sketches, and gaming-related videos. He became particularly known for his alter ego Francis, a character famed for exaggerated rants and comedic skits about gaming and internet culture. As a Lolcow, Boogie is rather unique in that he actually wanted to make the audience laugh from the outset, at least while he was playing his role as Francis. However, much of his audience would end up laughing at the real Boogie rather than with him. When not in character, Boogie openly discussed his personal struggles, including his morbid obesity and mental health challenges, which initially endeared him to many of his viewers. His candidness about topics like depression and his weight loss journey garnered significant support. But over time, just like Wings of Redemption, Boogie became embroiled in a series of controversies and faced heavy criticism for various statements and outbursts. This led to many debates within the online community and a whole lot of ridicule. In one particularly explosive stream on Twitch in 2019, Boogie addressed his haters directly, calling them less redeemable than rapists and Nazis, because, and I quote, "at least they're doing something they believe in."
I do think these are the worst people that exist in the world. If you don't like me because of that opinion, that's fine. But I can tell you this, those people.
Following the inevitable backlash and further influx of criticism for these remarks, Boogie retracted his initial statement and claimed he was only referring to trolls who engaged in stalking and violence, such as those involved in the tragic murder of Christina Grimmie. But let's just say very few people bought what Boogie was selling. Unsurprisingly, Steven has also faced several accusations regarding his constant lies and e-begging. Examples include being insincere about his weight loss, with the YouTuber promising to go on a diet, only for pictures of him eating fast food to be leaked online soon after. And after constantly claiming to be broke and begging his audience for money, Boogie has made several extravagant purchases of things like gaming collectibles and a brand new Tesla. In 2023, a documentary about Boogie's downfall called The Dark Sad Life of Boogie2988 was released, which details the YouTuber's dramatic descent. It revealed that he spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on prostitutes and highlighted the fact that Steven would do almost anything to avoid getting a real job. Instead, he appears to favor being a lolcow, and it looks like he'll continue to play that role for as long as he can. What's crazy is that very recently, a new podcast has popped up starring Wings of Redemption and Boogie2988. It's literally called the Lolcow Podcast. Whether or not it's successful in the long term remains to be seen. It's interesting but not surprising how obesity and mental illness seem to be common traits among lolcows. The obesity can be easily explained by living an unhealthy lifestyle that involves being forever online and being unwilling to change for the better. Meanwhile, a mental illness makes it easy for trolls to target and milk their subjects over and over again, as is the case with our next lolcow. Chris Chan, born Christopher Weston Chandler, has gained notoriety within internet culture as one of the first internet lolcows. Initially known for creating the webcomic series Sonichu, which combined elements from Sonic the Hedgehog and Pokemon, they became a polarizing and controversial figure due to various personal issues and incidents that unfolded over time. Shortly after starting their first YouTube channel in 2007, Chris Chan quickly became the target of trolls due to the bizarre nature of their comics and insights into their strange personal life. It would take literal hours to go through all of the drama and controversy involving Chris. But since 2007, they have been ridiculed for their art, their views on women, as well as homophobia, laziness, delusions, and narcissism, among other things. One thing that made Chris a prime candidate for being a lolcow was their high susceptibility to online trolls, which itself was likely due to Chris suffering from autism. Various individuals have pretended to be romantic interests, for example, manipulating Chris into sharing information or performing specific actions. The first instance involved a fake girlfriend, Blanca Weiss, who feigned interest to obtain Chris's custom-made necklace, the Sonichu medallion. Chris sent the medallion, which was later filmed being destroyed. In the early part of 2011, Chris asserted that they identified as a tomgirl and experienced gender dysphoria, a stance that their parents did not support. The legitimacy of their transition was a subject of debate online. While some evidence pointed to Chris displaying traits associated with femininity, they also mentioned their motivation was to attract homosexual women quickly. This reasoning faced criticism from both trolls and the LGBTQ community. In April 2012, Chris's status as a virgin changed after an encounter with a prostitute named Mia Hamm. 4 years later, Chris Chan came out as a transgender woman and changed their name to Christine. Then, in 2018, their romantic pursuits took an unconventional turn as they engaged in a polyamorous marriage with fictional characters. It was also around this time that a group of at least 5 trolls known as the Idea Guys began interacting with Chris, now Christine. These interactions varied from malicious cyberbullying and manipulation to outright abuse. They coerced Chris into making false announcements about being a pedophile and even made her slap her own mother. Additionally, the Idea Guys extorted approximately $6,000 worth of video games, consoles, and gift cards from Christine. They resorted to blackmail, attempting to extract another $20,000 in cash by threatening to report her to the FBI for alleged pedophilia while exploiting her beliefs regarding the dimensional merge, which, according to Google, is a controversial and theorized event in which the real world and fiction as a whole will conjoin together as a result of magic. And if you think all of that sounded hectic, life hasn't gotten much easier for Christine since then. In 2021, an audio file and text messages were leaked in which Christine described in graphic detail how she had sexually assaulted her own mother numerous times. Christine was subsequently arrested on felony incest charges, and the disturbing news generated significant attention and discussion among the online community. While in jail awaiting trial, Christine wrote numerous letters to trolls who had contacted her. Trolls even contacted the courthouse to find out details and disrupt the legal proceedings. Eventually, though, Christine was released and the incest charges were dropped. As recently as October 17, 2023, Christine uploaded a YouTube video to their current channel, Quickville Guardian, vehemently denying any accusations of incest with their mother and asserting their innocence. They claimed that online trolls had concocted the narrative and had manipulated audio recordings to portray them negatively. Christine claimed that their prolonged detention was due to the authorities' uncertainty about how to handle their mental disability. They mentioned being placed in a suitable environment without specifying the exact location. Christine also expressed a determination not to fall victim to similar trolling attempts in the future, and called for her trolls to be imprisoned. Chris Chan's life and experiences have been the subject to much scrutiny and debate, often sparking discussions about mental health, online behavior, and the ethical considerations of sharing personal information within internet communities. The complex and sometimes troubling nature of their story has made Chris Chan one of the most discussed and debated lolcows ever, and is often called the most documented person online. There are literal hundreds of hours of painstaking documentation in YouTube videos alone. It's actually kind of insane. That said, our last case study, while not as disturbing, is definitely up there in terms of notoriety. DarkSydePhil, often abbreviated as DSP, is a content creator primarily known for his gameplay videos and live streams. His real name is Phil Burnell, and he began uploading to YouTube in 2008. Prior to joining YouTube, Phil had already made a name for himself in the gaming community by competing in several Street Fighter tournaments. In 2005, he finished 4th on a broken arcade port of Super Street Fighter II Turbo in that year's EVO tournament. Since the top 3 players were all Japanese, he crowned himself the highest-ranked American player for that game, despite the fact that several American players had dropped out of the tournament due to the dissatisfaction with that version of the game. Phil's cocky, abrasive attitude rubbed many gamers the wrong way, although he seemed more than happy to play the villain and even adopted the nickname, the King of Hate. While many believe this nickname alluded to his constant criticism of video games and other gamers, Phil maintains that this moniker stemmed from his outspoken nature. He insists that his opinions are often radically different to the mainstream and therefore tend to stir up controversy, from which he gains motivation. To be fair, Phil's YouTube career got off to a great start. His unfiltered and outspoken style during gameplay, which garnered both a dedicated fanbase as well as criticism, enabled him to become a full-time YouTuber in 2010 after being laid off from his job at a helicopter support company. However, the controversies soon began to mount up, and the trolls, or detractors as Phil likes to call them, moved in. DSP would often complain about technical glitches or bugs in games that didn't exist, using them as an excuse for his poor gameplay. This led to a long-lasting YouTube series called This Is How You Don't Play, and many people uploading videos mocking DSP for being generally bad at the games that he plays. Phil did not take kindly to this perceived hate, ironically, and would rant frequently about people stealing his content and riding on the back of his success. Of course, the trolls then milked DSP in hopes of provoking him into further rants, ultimately leading to his downfall. In the years that followed, DSP's career has been a roller coaster, to say the least. Marked by ups and downs, though mostly downs, he's been involved in several scandals and has now been reduced to begging for money to stay afloat. DSP's lowlights include his financial struggles, relationship woes, making racially insensitive and offensive comments, various disputes with other content creators, and masturbation? That's right, on May 1st, 2016, Phil was inadvertently recorded masturbating during a pre-stream with his face cam on, just before his intended gameplay stream of the Neo Alpha demo. He claimed that he was unaware the camera was active. Despite the mishap, this incident actually increased his viewership and subscriber count. However, it also sparked a surge in ridicule and negative commentary among various YouTubers. Notable channels such as Review Tech USA and Drama Alert covered the incident. Phil addressed the situation directly in a subsequent pre-stream video the following day, owning up to the blunder after initially trying to deny being engaged in some milking of his own. There are plenty of jaw-dropping moments when it comes to Phil's career, which is why he remains an easy target of trolls to this day. And quite honestly, it's fascinating to track the careers of lolcows like DSP, and shocking how people like him continue to destroy their own image, along with some help from the detractors, of course. It's been reported that DSP was also invited to be a part of the Lolcow podcast, but he doesn't like Keemstar, who is the creator of that podcast. And according to him, he's trying to stay away from drama, and staying out of this podcast is probably a good way to do that. Whether or not he sticks to that avoidance of drama, only time will tell. Anyway, that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this introduction to Lolcows. If you wish to dive down the rabbit hole even further, I highly recommend a YouTuber by the name of Frederick Knudsen, since he has a series that goes very in-depth on each of these Lolcows aside from Boogie. There's also other channels that document subjects like these, such as Sunny V2, Turkey Tom, June the King, and more. And as far as Boogie2988 goes, that documentary that I mentioned in his section is very much worth a watch as well if you're interested in these subjects. Though I'm willing to bet if you've watched this video, you've probably already seen that documentary. But who knows? Maybe this is your first introduction to Lolcows. So let me know in the comments if you'd like me to cover more in this kind of introductory fashion. Or check out some of the other weird and wonderful topics that I've already covered here on this channel. Anyways, thanks for watching, and until next time, I hope you don't become the target of online ridicule.